Hey folks, today we are going to be looking at building a food forest guild from seed around an existing witch hazel. We're going to talk about why, and we're going to look at the design concept. So let's get going. Just to give you a little overview, this is a semicircle here of some fruit trees, and they are right over here near our campfire pit. The pit is currently covered with all the wood we want to burn just to keep it out of the grass until we mow. And the food forest that you see in most of my videos is back over there. But this semicircle, my apologies for the roosters, this semicircle is going to link up with that. And next year, I'm going to be connecting all of these trees and planting this out. But today we're going to focus right there on the little witch hazel, and we are going to plant it mostly from seed with the exception of a few bulbs. First, let's take a look at why would I start a guild from seed. First off, there are a certain number of seeds that require a cold period in order to sprout or germinate. Now, we can mimic that in our own homes by cold stratifying things in our refrigerator, but why not just put the seeds out in winter and let winter do the thing that winter does for these seeds? And so that was my idea. So this guild that I'm building is made up of those seeds that require that cold period. It is made up of sea buckthorn and Goumi berries and poppies, and also lupin. These are all seeds that require a cold period to germinate. So why not just make a guild of them all together? The second reason for planting from seed is that it's just cheaper. It's easier on our pocketbooks, right, folks? The semicircle you saw at the beginning of the video that I plan on making a fully connected food forest in a semicircle is roughly 50 feet long, and I'm hoping to plant it at least 4 feet wide, which is 200 square feet that need to be covered with plants. And if you think about the fact that a bush takes up a 5 by 5 space roughly when fully grown, like a Goumi bush or a blueberry bush, then you start to see the problem of trying to fill that space by just buying plants that are already fully grown. At the nursery, you can spend $20 to $120 per plant, and if we're trying to plant 200 square feet with those, that can get really expensive very quickly. So the second reason is just it's easier on the pocketbook. Thirdly, it's just better for the plants, right? We don't think about it a whole lot because it's become such a common practice in gardening to buy plants in a pot and transplant them, or get bare roots in the mail, for example, that we can go plant that bare rooted cherry tree outdoors. But we don't think about the fact so much that it's not great for the plant. Plants go into shock when they're moved, and rightly so. Plants in nature don't get up and walk to somewhere different and replant themselves. That's not a natural thing. And so if we plant things from seed, that's just better for the plant overall. It's healthier for them. It's what they naturally do. Oof, look at how big that fella is. All right, so here is the plan for our little guild. The guild is directly in front of us. Here's with the lamb's ear. So we've got our little witch hazel here in the center. And we've got kind of this edge around it, which I drew too big, but you get the idea. So, lamb's ear is roughly here-ish. That's our lamb's ear. This direction, roughly this way, is south. So I'm going to be putting a lot of the smaller plants on this side and the taller plants on this side where possible. All right, so what are we putting in here? My dear sweet mother bought me 3,000, you heard me, 3,000 hollyhock seeds. This is half of them. So I'm going to put some hollyhocks over here, kind of opposite the lamb's ear and a little bit close to the witch hazel. And these I'm planting just because I love them. They're great for pollinators. They're tall. But also by planting them next to the witch hazel, if I need to strap them up to something, there'll be a tree to do that. They won't flower till their second year, so this witch hazel has another year to get taller in order to help these guys out. One of the other things I'm trying to do is nitrogen fixing, and I have 2 sets of lupin seeds here. Now you will notice this one looks very old-fashioned. That is because it is from 1988. So I do want to have some lupins, so just because these seeds are so old, we're going to hedge our bets and do a second set of seeds. We will know which one's which because these are blue and these are red. So whichever lupins come up, we'll be able to identify it if we were indeed able to sprout seeds from 1988. I think the oldest seeds I've ever sprouted were 20 years old, so this will be a new challenge. So that's fun. We're going to be putting the lupin probably to the back of the lamb's ear, I think. We'll get that lupin in like this. And this will be a nice little nitrogen fixer for us. Also, we are going to be putting in some tulips. I want to put the tulips in here kind of on this side of the lamb's ear, and this is purely an aesthetic choice, and that is because my house is in that direction, and when I'm looking out from my window, it's going to be really lovely to have these lamb's ear right here with some tulips coming up taller behind them where I'll be able to see the pink blossoms right up in here. So I think that's just a nice choice. That's purely aesthetic. There we have it. All right, in front of those, I would like to put in some poppies right in that area. This is a seed pack from, I think, 2019. Well, I bought it in 2019, so yeah. And it has a large number of poppies in here. We're right in the perfect window to be seeding these out, so I'm going to be doing that. Also online from private sellers, like on Etsy, I've managed to get a hold of some Goumi Berries and some sea buckthorn. So we'll be using a couple of those. Instead of cold stratifying them to mimic nature, we're just going to put them straight into nature. Because that just makes sense, right? We don't need to mimic nature if we can just put them out into nature. With the sea buckthorn, I feel like I have a lot of chances to succeed or fail. But with the Goumi, I have exactly 5 seeds. I'll probably put 1 out here and probably another somewhere else. I might put 2 just to ensure that I get sprouting. But some of these I will sprout inside just to kind of ensure I get something. Finally, we're going to put in a deep taproot. with rhubarb. That is going to go probably on the other side of the Goumi, which I have not put down yet. So the Goumi's also going to be kind of front and center, where it can be hit with plenty of sunlight. This is another nitrogen fixer, so I've got lupin, Goumi, and the sea buckthorn. Sea buckthorn I'm also going to put in back here of the witch hazel, just because it should get taller, I think. If not, the sun tracks across the sky, kind of across this way, so it'll still get plenty of sunlight both in the morning and in the afternoon as the sun comes back over this way and shines back over. So I think it'll be fine. I want to put our rhubarb over here. That's rhubarb. That's my excellent rhubarb drawing right there. And then I might try to squeeze in somewhere along one of these edges, maybe between like the rhubarb and the hollyhock, a mullein plant. So you can see that there's a few like medicinal herbal kind of things here between the lamb's ear, the witch hazel, and the mullein. We've got some berry producers with the sea buckthorn and the Goumi berry. We have nitrogen fixers with the Goumi, the lupin, and the sea buckthorn. We have some roots in the ground. We have deep tap roots. So we're covering a lot of bases in our permaculture needs here. We're trying to make sure that we're getting nitrogen in the ground, we're attracting pollinators. The poppy seeds can also be used for cooking. So there's just a lot of things going on in here where we're stacking functions, and as long as these things come up, I think this is going to be a pretty cool little guild. Hey, congratulations, you made it to the disclaimer. And the disclaimer is that I am new to building food forests, okay? I am not coming to you as an expert. I'm not saying that you should copy what I'm doing and you're gonna get excellent results. I'm coming to you as a person who had an idea. I'm trying it out, and we're just gonna have to stay tuned until spring to see if it works. Alright, let's check these out. Those could be viable. We're gonna find out. I'm gonna double seed these because these are old. I'll make sure something sprouts. And I'm gonna put a few red ones in here too, just to make sure we get something. And there's a pretty big difference in seed color. I don't know if that has to do with the breed or the age. I kind of hope we get both, honestly. Get red and blue lupines and pink tulips coming up. That'll just be lovely. All with some red rhubarb. Gorgeous. Alright, we're going to get a little sea buckthorn in here. You notice though where the shadow's being cast in the afternoon right now, and that shadow's going to swing around like this. So I might get the sea buckthorn a little bit more over in here, although it's probably fine right here. We'll plant a few just here and there to make sure we get one. We've got 50 seeds to mess with, so I feel like we could sprout one, right? Maybe. Alright, so that's our sea buckthorn. I'll put it right in the middle of the triangle there. Then coming around from the sea buckthorn, I want to get some rhubarb in here. I probably want it closer to the edge. I'll get maybe 2 or 3 of them. Again, it's always just to make sure we get one, just to get those 2 or 3 in the ground. We can always thin if we have too many. This one's supposed to be a very large, the Allport is supposed to be a very large rhubarb, so kind of looking forward to how that goes. Huh, these are big seeds, for sure. Alright, the rhubarb is in. Now we just have the hollyhocks and the mullein. Yeah? Oh, and the Goumi. So I'm going to put the hollyhock real close to the tree here. I do not know what colors these will be. It was just a mixed pack. There we go. Hollyhock. And I am very aware that I am packing these quite close to one another. And that is actually the goal. I am going to put the marker right exactly next to where I'm putting the seed. That way I can be pretty confident about where it is. And then, oh, I think I reversed where I put the Goumi and the mullein, but that's okay. This isn't a hard plan here where I have to follow it exactly. I mean, you know, I made it up. I can change it, right? And these little suckers are like, these are like dust. They have no body to them at all. Just gonna shake them down into the soil there. Put this back in here. Bam, look at that. We planted a guild, folks. Now, the guild as it stands is not finished. I'm going to continue building it in the spring. As of right now, it does not yet have some lower ground cover plants. It does not have any pungent herbs and spices, which are really great for attracting those predatory insects that will help protect the plants from the other insects that want to wreck them. And also just getting some kind of vine layer in there. Now the witch hazel is not going to be tall enough for anything to vine up it, but I can have a vine layer that vines out from it, like maybe cucumbers or squash or something. So in the spring we'll take a look at what we want to add in it in that way.